Ah, what a beautiful day.
I'm into it.
You're into rain. You're into darkness lately.
Yeah, not really into darkness per se, but like, I felt good about it. Like the rain cleansed all like the allergy shit, I like to think. So I'm breathing better today. It could be the Zyrtec that I took at like, I don't know, 1 billion hours ago, but we're better today.
I'm glad you're feeling better today. For my sanity, because that was not fun editing that out.
I am so sorry about that. Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. People are still back, so that's good.
Hey, everybody.
This week we're going to talk Conjuring, into Spiral, into Rise Against, into Lisey's story.
Okay.
And we are, let's see. We are so excited to have everybody back. And got the music up to go live. Hopefully we can get the live feed to work through sound again. We've been struggling a little bit lately because YouTube likes to switch to the computer audio.
Silly YouTube. Hi, everybody.
Let's get YouTube fired up really quickly. And I have to put in the password. YouTube. All right.
Definitely talking about my back stuff, too.
What back stuff? Oh, your back stuff? We'll talk about your back
Okay.
stuff. I want to hear, or your neck or your back?
I'll get there.
3, 2, 1. Hey, friends of Mai Tai Happy Hour, we are back!
Yeah!
This is a trilogy that's gone on for 215 episodes, and it is not going to end!
And it has only been rebooted twice.
I am George, this is John!
It's me, I'm here again.
Even when we were rebooted, we didn't take a break.
We never stopped.
We never stopped. We
Can't
don't
stop, won't stop.
Can't stop, won't stop. What do we have in store for the kids this week?
Today we have a huge episode. A lot of stuff has been hitting our TVs and our earballs lately, and we're here to talk about it. Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It, just hit HBO Max. We've got some thoughts on that. Spiral. No one asked for a new Saw movie, and here it is, rebranded as Spiral. With Chris Rock, we've got some thoughts on that. Rise Against has an amazing new album called Nowhere Generation, just dropped. We've got some thoughts. And finally, Lisey's story is rocking and rolling on HBO Max as well.
I thought it was on Apple TV.
It's on Apple TV. They all blend together to me, man. It's all one streaming network, and I've got most of them. So Lisey's story, we're definitely going to talk about that as well. It's definitely on Apple TV.
Well, if it was on Apple TV, if it was on HBO Max, it might be good.
We'll talk about it.
So much good stuff. But first in store, first thing we have in store for all of you is a cocktail.
Always start with a cocktail. I always try to go thematic, and I put in Rise cocktail recipes. And
you're trying to do a Rise Against cocktail?
Look, I shot for the fences. I made
straight edge too.
I know. There's a lot of layers to this one. I'm sorry about that. I don't drink either, so here we are. It's okay. So High Rise cocktail. It's just in the name. Is an ounce of vodka, an ounce of sweet and sour mix, a 1/4 ounce of grenadine syrup, 2 ounces of orange juice. Don't go freshly squeezed on this. Just get it out of the jug. And then finally, a 1/4 ounce of Contra or orange liqueur. Either one works. You pop it into a shaker, shake that sumbitch up in some ice, strain it into a Collins glass filled with finely shaven ice, and serve to your friends that drink. Sorry,
guys. It's all good. I mean, you can also pretty much make a virgin version of anything.
You can make a virgin version of anything. Now, being, not drinking. My thing is like, I don't want to pay $12 for juice. I would just, I would rather just drink a club soda because it's free refills.
If it's fresh ingredients, it's done right.
You know what I'm going to do when we go to a tiki bar again? I'm going to get like something virgin and let them take me away.
The great tiki bars, like Frankie's Tiki Bar, places like that actually have a full virgin menu. So it's not even weird.
That's just cool.
They have a proper. I think the Polynesian had a virgin menu too. I think the good ones do. So that's where we're at. I want to talk about something else first.
Let's do it.
Can we talk about why there's a Hulk Hogan movie coming out? and there's been so much publicity about this because of Chris Hemsworth's arms like being jacked. I'm impressed. I'm impressed with Chris Hemsworth.
Respect. You definitely got 24-inch pythons there, bro.
Which means
above the waist.
Which means I fully expect in the next Thor movie there will be a Getting Strong Now opening credit sequence because he's got to go from being fat to having Hulk Hogan arms.
So we're doing like a sweet montage.
It's going to be absolutely. I'm calling it now. There will be a montage in the new Thor movie there will be a Getting Strong Now sequence of some sort. But I'm like, the amount of publicity it's getting for the Hulk Hogan biopic, and I'm looking into. I thought there was going to be a Vince McMahon biopic. It looks like the Vince McMahon one might be it's going to be another special. It might be HBO, the same people who did Andre the Giant. No, this is going to be a Netflix movie about Hulk Hogan, a literal racist. And, might I add, Hulk Hogan's fully behind it. Like, he's fully excited for it.
Of course he is, brother.
So I don't
get a movie,
I just
brother.
don't understand. I'm not for cancel culture unless it makes sense. In this case, though, it's a little strange. It's a little strange.
So my thought on the Vince McMahon thing is,
it's not Vince McMahon though. This is the Hulk Hogan.
I'm working towards it, man.
I'm hot.
You're coming in hot. The Vince McMahon thing, I think it's like, or are they going to wait till he's dead? Well, spoilers. Vince McMahon will never die. I don't think he can. I do not think it is humanly possible. If like a plague didn't kill him, you're not going to get Vince McMahon. So you might as well do it while he's alive and he's willing to participate. Maybe. The Hogan thing is perplexing because Hogan is still alive. He is still a racist. The stink of his conversation that came out, which highlighted his racism and brought it to the forefront of our culture. I mean, it really wasn't that long ago. Like, I could see, like, if it ends with, like, a redemption story where he comes back, like, he's actually apologized, he's done right by all communities involved and, like, you know, done things to make it better. One thing he didn't, he's still just kind of like, we're just going to sweep it under the rug, brother. We're going to sweep it under the rug. And, like, it's too soon, I think, to make a movie glorifying someone who is still not in the good public graces. I just don't think Hulk Hogan did enough to justify a movie. Like, his life on its own, other than the recent stuff and the Gawker stuff, isn't incredible enough to earn a movie when there's, like, where's my Arnold Schwarzenegger biopic? I mean, you know what I mean? Like, there's people who deserve I get it.
A movie more than Hogan.
He did, and I'm not a Hulk Hogan apologist by any stretch of the imagination, he did revolutionize and kind of essentially reinvent the wrestling business.
No, Vince McMahon did. Vince
McMahon did, but he was the guy in front. You know, granted, I think Vince McMahon absolutely deserves a biopic. And I used to call them biopics. That's how I pronounce it. But, you know, I mean, I can see arguments for and against it. Like, up to a certain point. If you want to take Hogan up until the point where, like, you end the movie with him and The Rock passing of the torch, and that's where you end it, like, I could see why you would be interested in making a pick about that. But if you're not going to end it there, and you're going to not also illuminate the dumpster fire that was Hogan Knows Best and everything that happened after that, which the dumpster fire kept growing and growing and growing. I mean, I don't know. I just don't get it. It just hit me. It hit me today. Like, I really thought Chris Hemsworth would play Hulk Hogan in the Vince McMahon biopic. I didn't realize that this was Hulk Hogan's story. It's on Netflix. It is being made. I don't know what the premise is. I also think it's weird because Chris Hemsworth is significantly older than I think the Hulk Hogan he's playing in the movie. So I feel bad for him because he's going to get jacked like that in his like late 30s. That's tough, man. And, you know, all the amount of HGH that poor dude's got to be doing right now. You know, I think about it like this. I get mad every time I hear Real American. I get mad every time I see the gifts because there's that little lizard brain version. Hi, buddy. Yeah. Hey, Gabe, how are you, man?
I don't want dirty. I got clean one.
You got clean pants on. That's good. It's always nice to be wearing clean clothes, man. I like your T-Rex shirt, by the way. It's very nice to see you again. So I'm of the mind of it. Like, I get mad every time I hear Real American. I get mad like every time I see the gifts. And I love doing my Hulk Hogan, brother, impersonation. But it's like every time that happens, I'm like, oh, fudge. He's a terrible person. And it's like, you know, there is a certain degree where I think it's important to try to separate art from the artist. And I think more than ever now, like there's got to be a breaking point with it. But some people are just so terrible that you just can't do it. All I wanted from Hulk Hogan was a real apology. Just something. Just a real apology. I wanted him to go and actually apologize on air at WrestleMania, whatever. And he never did. He never did a tour or anything. You know, whatever he did backstage, I heard was kind of meaningless. Yeah. But I was waiting for that. I was willing to give it to him. I mean, his circumstances were weird. You know, the whole taping him without him knowing it. Like, there's a lot of weird stuff going on. Just apologize. He didn't. So now I'm taking it as he just doesn't want to admit he's a racist. So he probably is. Yeah, it doesn't give a shit. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Anyway, we want to talk about The Conjuring 3. A lot of people have thoughts on this. Carlos already has jumped into the thread. He's like, oh boy, I rather would have listened to the new Boss Tone album.
than
What?
than this.
I'm getting so much heat for that from all sides.
Yeah, it is so. I gotta be honest. I watched it last night. I thought The Conjuring 3 was better than Conjuring 2.
Yeah, but that's not saying much.
That's not saying a lot. It didn't go back to, for those who don't know, The Conjuring is a tale of these famous to real life ghost hunters, kind of paranormal investigators, true Ghostbusters. Lorraine and what's his name?
Ed and Lorraine Warren.
Yes, and
Warren.
Warren.
My mouth is doing weird stuff.
I get it. Drink when you can.
Warren.
Drink when you can. Drink when you can.
Yeah.
And they investigate a lot of the major paranormal activities, like the Poltergeist house and the Amityville house. And look, a lot of people have said what they're saying is bullshit, but their stories are great. Like the stories built around them, whether they're true or not, are incredible. And these, kind of riff off of the stories that we've read and heard about. And the first Conjuring really laid the groundwork for modern horror, the modern intelligent horror. In a world post torture porn, which we'll go into in a little bit too. I feel like this is we should have brought Matt on this episode. He probably hasn't watched half this stuff.
Oh, I think he has. I mean, the group chat we were talking about it.
You didn't watch Conjuring yet. I don't think you watched Conjuring.
That's right. True.
But post massive amount of torture porn, The Conjuring cleared the air, got us back to true creepy haunted house paranormal activity that led the way for Babadooks and Hereditaries and where we are now, which is way more intelligent horror. However, The Conjuring, and this probably has to go more at the studio, decided to turn it into Saw and started releasing spin-offs year after year after year. The Annabelles, there was one good one. The Nun, there was none good ones. I don't think there was there was just the Nun and Annabelle, right?
3 different Annabelles, 1 Nun, 3 Conjurings, and a partridge in a pear tree.
And the thing is,
a haunted tree.
The first Conjuring was so well done, so beautiful, so artistic in its both design and its story, and the fact that there was no jump scares. You really could feel the witch or the demon in it coming up. You literally could see her in the distance. That's way scary to me than if you jump out and it's like a dog that just was there. I hate jump scares. I love The Conjuring. They haven't been able to replicate that with the exception of Annabelle and the second Annabelle.
Annabelle Comes Home.
Yes. And I feel like because that was more of a period piece and it was the story of the creation of Annabelle. This movie, I feel it a little bit. And maybe it's because the acting's very good. Clifton's own Vera Farmiga, is that how you spell her name? Say her name?
Farmiga.
Did you know she was from Clifton?
I didn't, but now I love her.
I know.
She's from the town I grew up in.
See, I know every West Orange hero.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Ian Ziering and Chris Gethard, but that's what we have from West Orange.
Ian Ziering's from West Orange?
Yeah, especially those two.
But you're only going to claim Chris Gethard.
We're only going to claim Chris Gethard. Nothing against Ian Ziering. I like 90210, but he was not my favorite.
I love Sharknado. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I didn't know she was Clifton. To me, the most notable Jersey entertainers are Lou Costello from Patterson. You got Uncle Floyd and John Easdale, both from Wayne. Glenn fucking Danzig and the Misfits, all from Lodi, New Jersey. Other than that, obviously Bruce Springsteen. There are plenty of notable people, but only from the town I grew up in. I mean, I grew up a lot in Patterson as well. Lived, my grandparents when I was a kid, so I always claim Lou Costello. I will definitely claim Vera Farmiga for me. Clifton. Also, Patrick Warren's from Montclair.
Yeah.
Or he lives in Montclair now, not to blow up. It's funny because we talk about universes a lot on this show. When you click on HBO Max, there is the Conjuring universe.
I saw that, and that was so frightening and just so dumb.
It is so dumb, but look, everyone is trying to sandwich their franchise into a universe nowadays. So the first Conjuring movie, it actually does have jump scares. I'm going to meet you halfway here, though, and I'm going to say the difference between the jump scares in a movie like The Conjuring, the original one, and most movies is The Conjuring fucking earns it. It earns it. So when that jump scare happens, you kind of even know that it's going to happen, but you're just so ready for the release because they really rake you over the coals in a very, very classy manner in the original Conjuring movies. First Conjuring is one of my favorite horror movies of all time.
Agreed.
I think it's an exceptional film. When you make an exceptional film like a movie like The Conjuring, it's always going to be diminishing returns to a degree. The first Annabelle movie was not very good. Annabelle Comes Home, which also features Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga reprising the roles as Ed and Lorraine Warren. briefly, the beginning and the end, kind of bookending the story, I think is the second best film in the universe.
You thought it's better in the second one? The second Annabelle?
The second Annabelle is the one I think is the best Annabelle.
Okay.
Yeah, not the Annabelle, because it's Annabelle Creations, and then Annabelle Comes Home.
Which is Annabelle 2.
Which is technically Annabelle 2. So the sequel is actually better than the predecessor. You know, there is a lot of, and I'm not going to get into it, but there's a lot of different camps who have different thoughts on the Warren family. Some people, you know, say that they weren't the best of people. Some people will say that they were frauds, and lots of different things going on. But what they do here in the Conjuring universe is they give you a really idealized version of Ed and Lorraine Warren. And what I think it took me 3 movies and also Annabelle Comes Home to really understand was that the Conjuring is always going to be diminishing returns, because the first one was a true to form horror movie, a paranormal horror movie, right? Ever since then, the story isn't so much about the horror as it is the enduring love and faith of the Warrens. And when you look at it through that lens,
it's a better movie.
It's a better movie, but it's not sold to you as that. It's sold to you as a Conjuring movie. And you're always wanting that next hit to feel as good as the first time you saw The Conjuring. Like I've watched The Conjuring enough, because I'll watch it maybe like once a year. It's one of my quiet horror films that I don't like mention on the list that I make. But I'll watch it like once a year since it's come out. And this year I'll end up watching it twice, because I showed my girlfriend before we watched part 3. And she's like, "Do I need to see 2?" And I was like, "No, you don't." But I can see where she was kind of falling asleep a little bit during this one. This is more of a procedural paranormal horror film that is really focused on the loving, enduring love and faith of the Warren couple. And that's another thing too. Like, a lot of people are like, I've seen a lot of reviews online poo-pooing this movie, and it's understandable because it's sold to you as one thing, but you get something completely different out of it.
And look, at the end of the day, it's an exorcism, and it's an exorcism movie.
Right.
And an exorcism is tough in the wake of, I don't think, other than maybe the exorcism of Jane, whatever it was.
Emily Rose.
I was going to say Jane Doe.
The Autopsy of Angel.
Which is also good. There have been very few good exorcism movies. And this one tries to take it above and beyond. Like exorcism, like demons jumping bodies and being more than just, compelling the one person. It's more like the devil is in the body and they're trying to destroy the Warrens. And it is, one thing we missed that we didn't say was Lorraine Warren does have some sort of sixth sense.
Yeah, this was kind of
some sort of psychic ability. So for her, she can get the fear is that she can get possessed, her mind can be destroyed, or it could be worse. I just feel like I never connected with the evil. I thought the best stuff was actually at the very beginning with the kid. There's a child possession at the very beginning. It's only about 5 minutes, and it is some of the best, body horror, and it's kind of spooky, and it's right in front of you.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
and that the movie goes down from there. But not, when I watched it, I was kind of, once I finally got it, once you get to the end of the movie and you kind of understand what the movie is, you're like, all right, it is a good movie, but it was just poorly presented. The trailer makes it look like something it's not, but it also serves a very specific function in the Conjuring universe, and that is it bridges the gap for, I think, what is going to come next.
Oh, you think there's going to be a next?
I definitely think there's going to be a next. These movies make money, man. These movies, people love these movies, even if it's not they need to keep fleshing out the universe until you get to the eventual end of the Warrens, which I think maybe they could wrap up the Warren story in The Conjuring 4 or in another part of the franchise. But I mean, they have built the characters up enough where you as a viewer understand really what their deeper motivations are. And now it's a matter of like, what are you going to give them next to overcome? And also maybe tell the end of their story. Because I think at this point we're coming near, I think, the end of the 70s in the...
I don't know.
I've
never been able to place the time on this.
And I think it's the next one. I think that is going to be, not saying that the filmmakers are thinking of this, but I think of year-wise, I think the next one would be the Amityville Horror, if they have to go to the Amityville house. And to me, that feels like the big finish for their story is them essentially the Conjuring doing the Amityville horror. I don't know if they will. I've not read anything weird about it. And I don't know time-wise, I think it lines up.
I also don't know who owns Amityville Horror. They'd have to somehow it would have to be. I don't know how that works.
Well, I mean, they could do it, but not call it the Amityville Horror.
I know, but you kind of want to call it the Conjuring Amityville Horror.
But I feel like that's what they're building towards. I feel like if they're going to redo to be honest with you, the first Conjuring movie is the Amityville Horror. Like for
one of the best. It's one of the best haunted house movies ever.
Yeah, I mean, for all intents and purposes, the first Conjuring was the Amityville Horror, like note for note, except calling it the Amityville Horror. They call it the Conjuring, but I think if they finish in the Amityville house, it might be a pretty cool finish.
I mean, it's kind of like what happened with Hannibal.
Yes,
and they couldn't do Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah,
they did a great job redoing Red Dragon, though. I would like to see go there. I don't disagree. I think this also could work as a TV show too. I mean, in all honesty,
that could be another cool move for them, man, because big budget stuff is happening on TV now.
HBO Max.
HBO Max is perfect for that. I will say I'm actually enjoying my HBO Max. I mean, I'm not enjoying the price point, but I feel like I'm getting the most bang for my buck right now between Netflix and HBO Max. So definitely check this out. I go into it expecting something a little different, but I think it's a solid watch on HBO Max. You'll be happy you didn't see it in the theater, but you will enjoy it at home.
Don't you have Fios?
I do.
It's free if you have Fios.
I gotta figure that out.
I'll help you out.
I know you will.
I'll help you out. If you guys have Verizon Fios, you get HBO Max included. We'll talk about that separate. Meanwhile, I guess we gotta do our final thoughts. I didn't do my final thoughts. I thought Conjuring 3 was okay. I didn't hate it as much as some people hate it. I didn't love it either. I'm not gonna watch it again, unless Allison wants to see it because she never actually got to see it in the end. But I just love these characters. I love these actors so much. I just wish they had stronger writers writing this stuff. And that's where we're going to Spiral, the Book of Saw. And we finally got to see it.
Yep.
It's finally out on demand. So they gave it about a month 3 weeks to a month before they put it out.
I have no presence in time with that anymore. If it's on demand, I will watch it.
And
it's on one of the 19 stream services.
Really quick sidebar. We talked about it last time. Quiet Place 2 will be on demand starting July. Don't know if it's early July or not. But that's 1 month.
It's 1 month out of theaters. Yeah,
it's 1 month.
That's pretty exciting.
I think we were talking last week that it was still 3 months, but no, it's like 1 month.
Well, we hit a point the other day where we realized that we could actually watch Black Widow together.
Yes.
Which I think is like the coolest thing in the world.
Yeah, I'm actually thinking of just having a small group and just watching down here.
That's what I'm talking about. Because
I forgot I had a big screen down here.
It's been a while, man.
I know.
It's been a while. We've been seeing friends that we have not seen in a very long time. And, you have these moments where stuff's going to happen and then you realize that you can go and do it again. And you don't know how to do it at first because, you know how to do it. We're fucking adults. So you figure it out. But, you just have this, oh, wait, I can do this. I could just, go buy a ticket to a concert and go see a concert and go to the movies or, it's cool now.
Yeah, we'll talk about it a little more later.
It's awesome.
Spiral, Book of Saw. This is a movie I had no idea they were making. So they took a little break from Saw. I was a big fan of the Saw series. I loved it for its camp that it became. I loved it for its, the story was terrible, but just the innovative way they killed people. It created torture porn. This is Spiral. It is not Saw, but it is in the Saw universe. This takes place after Saw. The person who was Jigsaw is spoken about in this movie. This is Chris Rock. This is a Chris Rock vehicle. This was Chris Rock's brainstorm, an idea. He didn't write it, but he definitely came up with this way of re-envisioning Jigsaw and Saw. And it has Samuel L. Jackson as dad. And I cannot tell you enough how weird it is watching a Saw movie where people actually act. And they act properly. They act well. The story is a Saw story. It is convoluted. I did not. So I don't want to ruin it for anything. I thought it was someone else who was the guy. I only picked out who it was when they didn't show his death. So about halfway through, I figured out who it was.
I knew right off the bat. Not saying because I watch a ton of detective shows, which I do. I watch a lot of detective programs. However, so this movie, for me, I really enjoyed it. Yeah. Did I look away at all times when all the gore was happening? You bet your sweet ass I did, because I can't outside of that first Saw movie, it's always just hard because they also have like a lot of the horror that I love gore, I love horror, but there's certain kinds of gore, like fingers and like other stuff like that, like, yo, sever a dude's arm, cool. Mess with his fingies or his toes, I get a little squeamish.
Tongue.
Oh, bro.
Tongue.
I saw that happening and I was like, I'm going to just, I'm going to look away from the screen. So I did watch the movie, but maybe a solid like 8 to 10% of it, I was going like this, looking away from the screen, not watching the movie. They telegraph a lot in this movie, and I think it's okay. I think it's very much okay because you're just trying to build a new franchise. You're not, in a lot of ways, you're not even trying to reinvent the wheel here. I thought there would be more death in this movie than we got. And it's not a critique. It's just a thought that I had. I was expecting more people to die. I thought it was really well done. I love Chris Rock's latest act. I'm really like, we've spoken about Chris Rock before on Fargo. Like Chris Rock doing some roles that are a little outside of maybe the kind of roles he's, kind of fallen into, and not like fallen into in a bad way, but just kind of where he's been for about a decade.
He's got a great second act.
He's got it. I mean, this might be even his third act, but like, it's great. And it's great to watch him just being like a kind of a cocksure detective, just out there trying to do his best. Samuel Jackson, man.
I didn't know he was in the movie. So when he popped up in it, I just popped so hard.
Yeah, well, I didn't know until you guys told me, and I was like, well, that's cool. But they maximize the time that they have Samuel Jackson in this movie. It's cool. You won't mind that it's telegraphed because it kind of goes the way it's supposed to go. There's a couple nods to other Saw movies. Now, granted, I haven't watched all of the Saw movies, but there were a couple nods in there, especially to the first movie that I really liked. And I thought that was cool because for me, the original Saw movie was something special. And it was one of those, Carrie Ells was in it. I don't know if I'm saying his name right.
Donnie Wahlberg.
I forget that he was in it as well. My mouth's not working right tonight. But yeah, I was like, it was one of those movies where like I'd never seen anything like that, especially on like American cinema. And so it was something special. And, God bless them. They made a lot of money making a lot of sequels to it. But I think this is the next true evolution. Like I know they did a Jigsaw movie back in like 2015, 2017, maybe.
Feels more recent, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that was meant to kind of reinvigorate the franchise, but it kind of fell flat. I think that this is the kind of movie that could actually reinvigorate and put some new life into a franchise like that.
I'm curious to see where it goes, and it is definitely a movie that there will be more after this.
Oh yeah.
And I think it did pretty well too in the box office. Look, I feel bad because this Saw movie, this movie should have been sold to a Netflix.
Yeah.
And it should have, instead of waiting, it should have launched last October on Netflix or HBO Max or whatever for Halloween. I think it would have done a lot better than it's doing now, having waited for a half-assed movie theater when there's also a lot of huge blockbusters already coming out. Like we said, at this point right now, you're going to do a lot better
on TV.
If you're on TV than if you're drowning with the blockbusters that have all been held till 2021 and 2022. I would not want to be an art house movie right now or a horror movie. You're so much better off on Shudder or something. But I thought this was really good. If you like Saw, you're definitely going to like this. If you like Chris Rock, you might like this. If you like Torture Point, you probably don't want to watch this.
You definitely don't.
And I also like how they, they had a touch on this and they did a very good job with it. This did have the aura under the watch of like the Black Lives Matter movement, because there was no way, especially that last scene, like there's no way you can argue that having a certain person strapped up with a gun and he's a black man and all the cops charge in and he's pointing at them. They very much were trying to put that in here, but Chris Rock and his dad and everybody play cops. So it's done very gingerly, but there is a little bit, you could hear the echoes of him trying to throw a little bit of a political statement in this.
Yeah, and I definitely think this movie is going to turn off a lot of people who are very pro-cop because, you'll see, it's definitely not.
And Chris Rock not only plays a cop, he plays a cop who has ratted out other cops in the past. So there is a little bit of that, too. It's a little bit, he gets a new partner, and the first thing he tells his new partner is, you don't want to be my partner. You do not want to be my partner. And most of the people who are murdered in this movie, all the people that are murdered in this movie are are corrupt and shitty cops. So at least you do feel a little better about the murders, a little bit.
Yeah, because it's not like co-eds.
Yeah.
It's like very bad people who've done very bad things getting their comeuppance. But yeah, I still had to look away from the screen because it was gross.
So let's talk a little bit about all the new Marvel rumors popping out.
Ooh.
So supposedly Namor is being cast in Black Panther 2, Wakanda.
Wakanda Forever.
I'm curious to see where that goes. Namor also, as everyone should know, the first mutant.
Is that how they're going to go with it?
I don't know.
I mean,
I don't think they've even announced it. I think all this stuff is rumor and innuendo, but like, you know, it's worth bringing up. Also, Ryan Reynolds posting a Deadpool outfit.
I still don't know how that's going to go with the mouse. They're going to let him say fuck.
I don't
Or
care.
like jerk off and unicorns.
Guess what? They don't say fuck in the comic book either.
Yeah, but like you've reached a certain level of like devil may care-ness in the Deadpool movies. Like you kind of can't take it back. You've already opened Pandora's box.
So the rumor is actually that they're going to be doing. He's going to be doing cameos. So
As
he's
Deadpool?
As Deadpool.
All right.
Not cameo. Sorry, stop. Not cameos, because this is what Allison said too. Not cameos, the app where you get paid. Cameos in Marvel movies.
I got you, man.
All right, because she's like, do you think he would do cameos like as Deadpool? I'm like, that would make so much money.
So when a celebrity does something like that, for those listening at home who may not be familiar with the service that is Cameo, celebrities of
Everyone
all
here knows what cameo is.
listen, you don't know that.
Everyone.
You cannot just assume that everyone knows what Cameo is. Let me finish.
What?
Cameo, for those who are listening at home who might not be familiar with it, because there are people who might not be familiar with it, is a service where you can pay a celebrity to make a video greeting for yourself, a friend, whomever you want to give it to. Are you Googling? Is
Nope.
someone talking about how they know what Cameo is?
We might be commenting on you right now.
Fine, whatever. I am just being thoughtful to our listeners. But yeah, so if you want to like get Brett the Hitman Hart to wish you happy birthday, you can pay like $100 something and have it done.
Or Scott
like
Steiner.
that. Or Scott Steiner, who probably charges less than Brett the Hitman Hart. Don't kill me, Big Papa Pump. But so if you wanted to hire Scott Steiner to do the Steiner math routine for you, you could do it. So when celebrities do it who are of a higher echelon, say, than your average celebrity who would be doing Cameo, like say John Cena and the crew of Fast and Furious 9 are doing an auction with Cameo to raise money for whatever charity, and they will you can get a cameo from John Cena if you're the winner of something. So, it scales up from Big Papa Pump. But Ryan Reynolds doing a cameo, if he did like a charity cameo where he dressed up as Deadpool and just talk shit, bro, print money. Whatever charity, the charity is good forever.
It is not. It is literally, people think he's do cameos in other movies. So I don't know where we just went sideways on this one. And what was the final big Marvel thing? I think they're just, Loki comes out tomorrow.
Apparently tomorrow.
And suppose the reviews are fantastic. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah, I gotta wait to Friday to watch it, but I'm excited for it. And I thought it was coming out Friday, but apparently they're doing it on Wednesday.
No, they moved out right. You pulled off Twitter so you don't see the news now. You said you had your Google News feed set up.
Well, apparently I don't have it set up properly, but yes.
Loki should be one of your targeted things.
You would think it was.
I think it was, but
But
it's
apparently
not.
it was not.
So Rise Against, new album, No World
Yeah.
Generation, just dropped. It is, I don't know how, but Rise Against like umpteenth album because they've been around forever at this point.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Rise Against before we even go into anything?
They're a band that I never gave a lot of thought to because they were always kind of putting out albums at weird times. Like, I think that, hearing a lot of their albums and, listening to this album especially, I'm shocked that they were never bigger than they were. And I think that they just always kind of put stuff out there at the wrong time. Like, they were either, like, ahead of the curve or behind the curve, but never, like, really on the curve for, like, what people were listening to at that time.
Yeah.
This album is fantastic. This is a band that has been around forever, who are at the top of their game, songwriting, performance-wise. Like, soup to nuts, this is a solid record. And they're the kind of band that really does seamlessly, I would say, blend, like, real punk rock and, Americana style. Are they Canadian or are they American?
I think they're American.
Americana style songwriting.
Chicago, duh. They are like the chosen sons of Chicago.
Yeah, dude, I never know.
It's like them and CM Punk.
Yeah, but like they blend punk, they blend Americana, they blend like jeans rock all together as
Jeans
one.
rock. What's jeans rock?
You'll know, but
I guess
it comes together really nicely, and like everything that they do, especially in this album, I'm like kind of listening to it. I'm like, this could have been a hit this year. This could have been a hit this year. This could have been a hit this year. So it's kind of everything that you like, unless you like ska, because there's nothing going on here with ska. But everything you like kind of blended into one album, and it's really great from front to back.
Yeah. So I always considered Rise Against the modern day Bad Religion, even though Bad Religion is still today.
I would back that 100%.
I feel like they've picked up the torch that they were, Bad Religion was really creating in the late 90s and late 80s, 90s, and carried that through, especially the political stuff. And they've done it very well. I think Rise Against found a sound that no one else really has, which is, like you said, it's both, punk rock and hardcore and rock, and adapted to, like, there's no voice like the lead singer, who I just screw up his last name, because I always do, but Tim McGrath. You see, there's like a silent, it's like there's an L or an I somewhere in there, and that always screws me up. I can't say his name right. If anybody else can pronounce it, please let me know. But, they came from the ashes of 88 Fingers Louie. Can you look at me?
I am looking at me. I am looking at you, but I'm looking at this. I'm checking out my talking points.
Important.
I'm more important. I love you.
88 Fingers Louie. Did you ever like that?
No, and that's why, like, when I heard that this band came out, I was like, really? Because it's like two different bands. Like they get hit in the head with a coconut, and suddenly, like, they're great songwriters.
I never liked 88 Fingers Louie other than their big hit single. This is obviously not the same band, not the same singer.
Oh yeah, I mean,
but led by Joe Princip, who's the bass player. This is one of those bands like Motley Crue and bands where the bass player is the leader of the band.
Bass player is so underrated. So
funny when you actually see one who like runs it. I got to interview him a few years back. Great guy, but they do keep their song topics very current. Their sound is both modern and harkens back to an era that is a little bit nostalgic for me. I feel like Rise Against last like 4 albums kind of blur into each other. They're not really trying to be too heavy anymore. I think they've kind of gone the route of AFI, where Davey Havoc's like, I'm not going to scream anymore. I'm not going to try. And so some of their best albums, I feel, are still their early, I think it's Interscope that they're on. I don't know if the name changed over the years, but their early major label albums.
Yeah.
But they've just, I don't know, is it locked in? Like, just being able to hear them, and it's not like they're overproduced. The singer is a person who does not have what you would call a great singing voice, but it's different. And that makes them stand out for me.
I would say non-traditional.
Non-traditional?
He's got a non-traditional sounding voice.
He can sing. It's not
he's
like
got great pipes.
But he's not someone I would call like a melodic singer.
No, but there's fire behind his voice. There's passion behind it. And I think that's one of the things you could say always about Rise Against. It's a band that's been passionate. And yet, like every band that's been around forever, there is a point where albums do kind of blur into the next. However, this album is something different, something special. Like, this is like Rise Against reaching their final form, where it's like they really do blend current sounds with timeless sounds. And so this is a record I think is going to age very well in the years to come. And it's definitely worth checking out. I mean, obviously, you could find it anywhere where you find music nowadays. Also, kind of breaking news with Apple real quick. Apple is like, oh, yeah, by the way, we're going to make everything like 24-bit now. Like, everything's going to be like the highest form you could listen to on Apple Music. So this is going to sound even better if you've got Apple products, because now like they're like fully unlocking the gates and letting everything sound as good as it possibly can.
I mean, I'm waiting for the vinyl. And the worst part is all vinyl is like delayed these days. So I wish I had the album here in my hands. I know it's shipped. I did get the notification.
Oh, that's nice.
Don't know when it's coming, but hopefully it gets here faster than that Conspiracy of One album. Saying Universal is what they're on, but I think it is the Interscope branch. I'm going to see them live. I got my tickets.
Oh, you're going to Astor Park?
There will be the first live show I see, July 30th, I believe.
Because it's The Descendants.
It's The Descendants. So that sold me. I think we talk for a second about the new
and the Messengers.
The COVID tax that appears to be affecting all concerts.
Yeah.
Every concert is now like $10, $15, $20 more than they were when we saw the band last time, which was only like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
But I actually have my ticket stub from when I saw Rise Against with AFI and Anti-Flag, and it was like $35, and now I'm paying $60 to see them. Same location with the Descendants and the Messengers, who I would say are probably of the level of an AFI or Anti-Flag.
It's the Stone Planet Summer Stage, right?
Correct. Which is why I'm taking the shot here, because
It's outdoors.
it's outdoors. It's a nice venue. Sightlines are great. I love it. I'm excited to see Rise Against do their new stuff. I'm excited to see the Descendants, hopefully in better shape than I was last time. If you remember the last time I saw the Descendants,
Yeah.
I decided I could go see the Descendants after doing New York Comic Con all day on a Saturday, and went to, I think it was like the Blender Nokia Theater, and just slept in the back.
Wasn't your best concert
No,
experience?
I also didn't like their new album.
Yeah.
That wasn't the best album, and I was just, I wasn't too excited. It's possible that Sense may have produced this album. Bill Stevenson does a lot of Rise Against work. I don't actually know if this one was, but I know that they've been.
This is a very pristine sounding album.
That's the word. That's the word.
But it's pristine, but it still sounds like a real band's playing the music. Like it's audibly, like one of the best that I've heard in a very long time, where you're kind of like, and that's been my critique with a lot of bands, is that it doesn't actually sound like the band is playing the music anymore. But this is one where it definitely sounds like the band is still playing the music, and that is something pretty cool.
Very cool. So check it out. It's available right now wherever you stream music. It's available online. I'm sure there's some cool color editions of it. So Rise Against, and they will be on tour this summer throughout everywhere. It looks
How
like
crazy is
they're
that?
probably one of the first bands that are doing
touring again.
One of the first bands I think are going to be hitting full tour all over the place. So I'm very interested to see where that goes. What if the Offspring are going to tour? They're doing a lot of the festival things. I'm also noticing that Bad Religion, they just decide no 2021. They're going full 2022. They're a little bit up there in age, though. I think they're just being a little more cautious.
I mean, everybody's got to do what they have to do, and they have to do things that are comfortable for them, and I respect it. A lot of bands, though, if they're not touring this year, they're getting on the big festivals. They're doing Riot Fest. They're doing other things, because it's like, well, we're going to get the most bang for our buck, and we're going to be able to do it. You have to imagine for a lot of bands who are doing things like Riot Fest, it's got to be like, how are we going to see all our friends that we would only see if we were on the road? One-stop shopping. So, I'm excited for people. I'm excited for people who are psyched about going to concerts. I'm excited for the bands to get back on the road. I'm excited for the people who work in the music business, who work, behind the scenes at the venues, to finally start getting back to work, and everyone, getting those checks in again. So good on you, everybody.
Meanwhile, I'm still buying live streams.
Yeah.
The Bad Religion season 2 just happened. I saw episode 1 where they do, they're doing songs from the 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s that they did not perform the first time.
Yeah.
Great stuff, but it's really weird because they did all their hits.
Yeah.
So now it's really just deep cuts, and that doesn't really make for a balanced show.
No.
So it's just like you're just seeing Bad Religion do like an hour change of like deep cuts live, and it's just a little bit weird. It's just like the flow of it, but very interesting. So the joke's been like Mr. Brett's disappeared to France or somewhere, and why couldn't he do this? I mean, it's it's pandemic. He could perform with them.
Yeah.
And he shows up.
No.
He shows up in the, I don't know if you watched the you did watch some of them.
I watched the other ones.
They were doing the clips, the in-between clips of, they were doing interviews with the band between, because the banter doesn't work if there's no crowd.
Yeah.
So they were doing in-between clips of interviews. Mr. Brett shows up, sits down next to Greg, and Greg's like, so everybody's wondering, why aren't you performing? Why aren't you playing these? He's like, I tried really hard. I played the songs like I knew I had a certain amount of time to do it by, and by the day before, he's like, I felt like I just don't know how to perform anymore. He's like, I don't play guitar anymore. Yeah. He's like, it's not like I just don't play that much or I'm rusty. He's like, I put down the guitar and I'm a business person and that's what I do. And he's like, I just didn't feel comfortable in myself getting up to perform. I'm like, wow, that's balls for Brett to say. And I also do believe he's probably being a little bit more anal about his own playing than we would. They're a punk band. But he's like, look, I'm just not fast enough anymore. And that is something. You are right. It's like, I get that, because as far as a guitar player, there's no way Mr. Brett went from being like one of the greatest punk rock guitar players of all time to not being a good guitar player. But I'm betting, especially with the 80s stuff, I get it. That's fast punk rock.
Yeah, and of course you look across the stage and there's Brian Baker.
Yeah.
Listen, as a person who's been playing music for the majority of his life, there is a difference between being stage ready and playing in your apartment.
Yep.
And there's a difference between like grinding it out every day on the road, making the towns, playing the songs in and out, where like your instrument essentially becomes like an extension of your body, to like, to during the pandemic, I actually didn't play a lot of music. And now I got a little guitar and I've been dorking around in my apartment. I'm like, oh wow, this it takes a little bit to get back on the horse. Start doing band practices again. It takes a little bit to get back on the horse. So I can't imagine having to do that, but also doing it at this speed. Because listen, I play like in a country punk band. We're playing fast. We're not playing Bad Religion in the 80s fast. I can't imagine getting on that horse.
Speaking of Bad Religion in the 80s.
Yeah.
So last time they did the Dichotomy off of Into the Unknown.
Right.
They've been doing on tour for a while now. I was like, what are they going to do this time? I'm like, are they going to do Chasing the Wild Goose? No. They cut to Greg Graffin on his like Roland, like organ piano, trying to show Brian Baker how to play It's Only Over When.
Really?
Yes, which is very Roland synth heavy. And Brian Baker just being like, hey, isn't the whole middle just Barracuda? And they're like, yeah, it's just Barracuda. Just ripped off Barracuda. And there's an extended break where they show Greg showing Brian Baker how to play an Into the Unknown song. And it is one of the greatest. It's worth watching. It's worth paying whatever it costs to pay $15 just to watch him teaching how to play it. And he's so excited.
Cool.
And seeing Graffin so excited about a song that like pretty much almost destroyed the band, destroyed his career.
Yeah.
And it is funny that they talk about a little bit about the Suffer Tour. They're like, the Suffer Tour, you'd think that was a legendary tour that everybody was so excited to see because of a major album.
Yeah.
They're like, no, the only people that came to the Suffer Tour were people that came to heckle and boo them for making Into the Unknown.
Now they know how Kiss felt when they took off the makeup.
And making them play songs off the first album. And I'm just like, that is hilarious and stuff. But really, really good. This week, I bought the Dwarves live stream. I'm expecting that to be a shit show.
Do you get your money back if he only makes it through 7 songs and
So
leaves?
he has to fit it. Like, I'm assuming if there's no crowd, there'll be no one there to piss him off.
I mean, you think?
Well, they're pushing this as if it's like it's the original band. It's like Nick Oliveri. It's He Cannot Be Named. It's like the good, like the main dwarves, as we know the dwarves. These like there will be little people, there will be strippers, there will be like burlesque. Like he's playing it up like this could be more than just a show.
So plenty of people to piss him off.
Yeah,
potentially,
possibly. Some will actually.
He's got a short fuse, dude.
So short. I'm very excited to see how it goes. But that's this week. If you've never seen the Dwarves, at least you're guaranteed more than likely to get a full Dwarves show out of this.
Like I feel like, and I've been told by several people, I got a great Dwarf show because I got halfway through the encore before he got pissed off and left.
Yep.
So I heard almost every song that I would have wanted to hear and like half an encore.
Which version of the Dwarves did you get? Did you get Nick Oliveri, who He Shall Not Be Named, or did you get the Queers version?
I got Nick Oliveri in the Queers version.
Which is fine.
Which is great. And I sat right in front of Nick Oliveri's amp, and I was like this the whole time, like the Maxwell. Like, oh.
Yeah, that is the, actually, it's the John Cougar concentration camp is most of the band that's back.
Yeah, you got, the time you went before that, you got,
I got the full original Dwarves, and I got that with George when the two of us went, right before we had our kids.
Yep.
And they played for like 2 hours.
Buddy Adventure before you had kids.
So weird. It was so weird. They played all 2 hours of it. I'm like, and luckily Allison's been able to get full Dwarf shows too. But again, sadly, the one time I brought Josh to see the Dwarves, they played 3 songs. He got pissed and stormed off. After we had to sit through 2 hours of the Turbo ACs, who are great, but not 2 hours great.
Yeah, no one's really 2 hours great.
Yeah.
There's very few bands out there that are 2 hours
I remember
great.
when I used to see Bad Religion when I was a kid, and they used to play an hour and a half. And they would play an hour and a half. They would play like 35 songs in an hour and a half. And
it doesn't feel like it's an hour and a half.
But it does when they do 35. Like I just remember, especially when you're packed in with a crowd, like and it's a rough show, and it's I just remember that. But then I used to get pissed off at bands that used to play for like an hour. Like under an hour. Like AFI started doing it. My Chemical Romance, we used to do it all the time. I remember the Starland, they would pay 45 minutes, 50 minutes. I'm like, play longer.
I don't know, man. 45, 50 minutes is kind of the sweet spot for going to see a concert.
No, I want...
Because if you give me 45 minutes and an encore, I'm pleased as punch. Because I kind of, like, I love so many bands, but I kind of only want to see about 50 minutes and an encore. 60 minutes tops. If you give me 60 minutes, I will give you my return. I will come back.
Well, if I ever see you and you don't give me an hour and a half, I will defriend you.
Well, see, I mean, when Secret Country is allowed to play an hour and a half...
I'm talking about Brian Bastard.
Oh, it's never happening again. It's never happened, and I don't want it to happen again. I'm kind of over.
I just want I want a remastered copy of the album. I care less if you guys get that together again.
That's all that shit costs money, and there's no real like return. It's I know, but it's.
I'll bankroll it. How much did it cost?
It needs a lot of work.
How much money?
It needs a lot.
You see, you're just finding new excuses.
No, it legitimately needs a lot of work. I mean, there's hard drives.
George Colazzo can do it.
Nah,
I have faith.
He does not want to mix it. It needs a lot of work, man.
You said the same thing about Pensy Prep. I'm going to leave it at that. Anyway, I have.
Well, that was a miracle. Like, let's be 100% like real about that. That was like, you're in the trench front. My computers are broken. It was the false Luke. It was like a 1 in a million shot to blow up the Death Star like that. That's like something that would. I never thought the day would come, and it did, and I thought it was pretty cool.
Anywho, I want to talk about Lisey's story.
Yeah.
New Stephen King adaptation on Apple. Is it Apple TV or Apple Plus? I keep forgetting what all these things are called. Apple TV is the name of the hardware. What's the name of this thing? Is it Apple TV too?
Apple TV.
It's Apple TV. It's on Apple's streaming service that has not really produced a ton of great things. It's been definitely the lowest of the. Yes.
So for me, I gotta say, I was shocked with the fact that they haven't produced very much for Apple TV because Apple's Apple. Apple got money. Like I thought that they would be trying to at least give any of the other streaming services a little run for their money, but they're not really producing much stuff. Now, granted, it may be partially because of the pandemic, but the only other thing that I watched on Apple TV that I was like really into, granted, yes, they did Ted Lasso. Ted Lasso was absolutely amazing. And if you liked Schitt's Creek and you like that kind of comedy, if you like a feel-good story with some like really cool comedy in there, Ted Lasso can't speak high enough about. I watched Mythic Quest, which is the dudes from Always Sunny producing a show about a company that makes an MMORPG. And
yeah, stuff that's really going to break big on Apple TV.
But it's really good.
Well, I didn't say it wasn't good.
No, but it's like one of those things that like it's not going to go over. It's not going to be the thing that you're talking about at the water cooler. But if you like the show, it is really, really good, really funny. That just came back for a second season, but I haven't really seen anything out there that's like, wow, they're doing this on Apple TV, and now we need to watch Apple TV.
Now you need to pay for Apple TV. This is an adaptation of a beloved Stephen King story. I watched the first 2 episodes. I mean, that's all that's dropped. I think a third just dropped yesterday, but there's 3 episodes. I feel like this is a story that is not a bad story, but there's too much going on, and the path to telling the story is not linear enough for me to get absorbed into it.
I agree, and I love Julianne Moore. And I love the idea of this story. I wasn't thrilled with the execution of it because there was a point where like you're not sure which timeline you're in, or if you're in the real world or you're in another world, and if someone's actually going to break the wall between the real world and the alternate reality, like
which could be heaven or hell or purgatory.
Can't really tell you. They're not telling it in a way where you could really understand that or get it out of the first 2 episodes. So I kind of started checking out like halfway through the second episode because I really didn't understand what was going on.
It wasn't too hard to understand. I mean, if you're taking it as, first of all, look, there is of course an author here because Stephen King loves to write about authors.
Meta.
He has been killed. His wife Julianne Moore is basically holding back on a treasure trove of stories, manuscripts, books, very much like Prince. Like imagine if Prince's estate was not awesome like they are and pumping out cool stuff. She's hoarding it. But there might be a reason why, and it might be supernatural. It might not be. Yeah. We don't quite understand that. And she also has a like mother who is like ailing, and then there's like supernatural. There is a lot going on. There's a lot of characters. What's going on here is that we're stuck with a convoluted Stephen King story that's being adapted just like the book, but sometimes it doesn't work.
Yeah.
If you don't modify it. And here we're stuck trying to make sense of this with great actors doing great job trying to tell it, but it just doesn't stick together as well as I would like. Unlike the Outsider,
Yeah.
which killed it on HBO because that was it was a similar situation where it was a little bit of mythological, a little bit of real life. It was a great whodunit story, but it was a linear story. It was just a straightforward, good story, mystery story, and it sucked you in. Great acting too.
Yeah.
And I feel like with Outsider existing, and I will go out and say it, and I should note it more often. Right now, the version of Doctor Sleep on HBO Max is the director's cut. So,
Oh, really?
yes, they pulled it. They pulled the other one, and now the director's cut is the canon Doctor Sleep.
I'll watch that again.
So, Doctor Sleep, another great recent Stephen King book, an adaptation to a movie that when it was only an hour and a half, an hour 45 minutes long, they cut out so much heart that it made the characters kind of goofy. When they do the longer director's cut, it is incredible and it's as great as the book, but they still pull back some of Stephen King's hokiness. The Outsider was better than the book was. There's no way to say it. The show was better than the book was. In this case, I feel like they're trying to be the book. They're trying so hard to stick true to the book, but sometimes Stephen King is just a little too boomer, a little too... And he gets stuck in these weird writing tropes that he has, and it comes off corny. And they're putting that into, they're just like telling it like the book. And it just, that's what I thought hurt the new Stand a little bit. Even though the Stand got better, the Stand did get better. The Stand had its own issues. We won't get to that. I think the pandemic killed the Stand, but more than anything else. But I feel like this might, I'm going to keep watching this. I think there is something to it. I think I need to be in a right frame of mind to watch this show. I think it's dark, but I want to tell you this. You already said you didn't like that much.
I'm gonna finish it.
I think I'm gonna finish it, but I want to say that if you're into something like this right now, and I didn't watch it when it started, and we're probably gonna review it next week.
Are you doing what I'm thinking?
The Mayor of Easttown.
I'm doing the same thing.
Oh my God! I wish people had told me about it from the beginning because it's one of the best murder mysteries I've ever seen. And I hear the good thing. Look, the good thing about waiting to binge is like people tell you if it was good or not, and then you can like watch it. So
yeah,
usually it's us, but now it's like I am excited to finish watching this. I'm on episode 3. I'm trying to knock out 4 tonight. I am very impressed, and that's another show.
Just 4 drops tonight or tomorrow?
No, it's already done. I'm gonna watch 4.
Oh.
Mayor of Easttown. I'm sorry, you're not paying. Mayor of Easttown is already done.
Oh, because when I checked it on IMDb, it's dropping like every week.
No, it was. It's done. It's all out.
It's June.
It's June.
I take it all back.
June.
Oh, then I'm psyched. I'm gonna watch it tonight too. I don't know what time is it anymore,
like
man.
6 or 7 episodes, and that's another movie that brings back a great star from our youth.
Yeah, Kate Winslet.
Kate Winslet into a great role. What's weird, the only thing that caught me about Mayor of Easttown was, and we'll talk about it more next week. They all have like Baltimore accents, but I realized it might be Pennsylvania down by Maryland.
That's kind of where it is. Because they make a reference, they're gonna run something from like Camden to Delaware to like whatever.
Yeah.
But no, for me, when they say water, when everyone's saying, "Oh, can I get a glass of water?" Like that is like a legit Pennsylvania like area accent.
The O's get me. I keep thinking it's Baltimore.
Isn't she from like the UK or Australia?
She is, but everyone else does it too. And Evan Peters is fantastic in it too.
I'm so happy he's like acting more.
Yeah, I'm happy he's become like an actor, like a real. Like,
he's not just like Quicksilver or like the kid from American Horror Story.
So Lisey's Story. If you're a fan of the book, definitely check it out. You might like it. If you like, I would actually tell this one, Sam, like we did with Mayor of Easttown. Wait till it's over and see what the final reviews are, and then binge it because it could be good. I'm just struggling to get to make sense of it, and it doesn't suck me in enough. But it's still really good. Again, the acting's great, so I'm going to continue. But I think I'm going to pause and wait to see it when it's all said and done.
There's something that I want to see happen in Lisey's Story that I know it's just not going to come because it's the silver shovel, and I want her to. There's a lot of things I want to see happen with that, and it's one of the things that I'm attaching to. And there's certain things in the show that I do attach to that I think are going to be really interesting that I know I'm going to be disappointed with or not. So yeah, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm actually going to pivot. I'm going to finish watching Mayor of Easttown, and then I'll go back around and check out Lisey's Story.
Well, that's it. We made it to another episode.
What great!
Exactly an hour.
We're the best.
Is fantastic.
Nothing's going to ever bring us down. We're the best around, bro.
Yeah. Except for what can bring us to nothing.
Nothing. Let's just stop. Yes. Why will that resistance?
I don't work.
I took an allergy pill today. I'm doing all right.
You look. What'd I tell you?
I took it in the afternoon.
Saves my kid. Zyrtek's the greatest.
Thank you, Zyrtec.
How can kids reach you?
You can find me on Instagram at John McGuire RPG. I've actually been posting more, reposting stuff more, so you can check me out there. If you ever want to chat, you can hit me up on the Vintage RPG Discord. We talk a lot about games. I did post today an amazing Tom Jones Tiny Desk show from his studio for NPR. Highly, highly recommend it. He's 81 years old, never sounded better. George, where can the kids find you?
Not Discord, because Discord's notifications will ruin Discord for me. Like that is just like just the worst, absolute worst. But I get that's a good way for people to chat. I still prefer just texting. You can reach me at GLK Creative on the Instagram, on GLK Creative on the Twitter. We are My Thai Happy Hour on Instagram. All our back catalog is on mythaitv.com. My blog is cultofgeorge.com. Rate, review, and subscribe. We appreciate each and every one of you. That is all. We have come to the end of another great episode. John, take us out.
Everyone remember, get vaccinated if you haven't yet. Go do things you miss doing. Say hi to your friends and family. Aloha.
Bye-bye, guys.
Bye.